Hi, everyone. This is Alisa Dixon, and this is the Astrology with Alisa podcast. I have an amazing guest with me today, and we have tried to do an introduction like 5 or 6 times, and we keep flubbing it. And we decided that we're going to introduce each other. So, this is Madeline DeCotes. She is the co founder of Honeycomb Collective, and I met her in Norwalk just a few weeks ago, and we became super fast friends. We have a lot of similar chart placements. And I'm just super excited to talk with her today. And we've already been talking for a really long time. We just can't get it together to be professional and start doing what we're here to do, which is really funny because we've got a lot of take charge energy, but we just can't seem to do it with each other. So, anyway, it's just really fun.
Exactly.
So, go ahead, Madeline. Your turn to speak and introduce me if you want, or however you want to do it.
Thank you, Alisa. Well, this is my new friend, Alisa Dixon. She is the host of the very podcast that you are listening to.
This is fun. Nobody's
Uh,
ever introduced me on my show.
oh, I'm so honored.
Yeah.
Okay, Alisa has this amazing chart. I'm going to start by introducing her chart. Of course, because we're astrologers. So
That's how we do it.
she's Capricorn rising, and Saturn is in Libra, which is the 10th whole sign house, conjunct Jupiter, one of those, if you don't mind me saying the birth year, one of those 1981 babies who landed that Jupiter Saturn conjunction in Libra, which I think is so cool.
You do?
Yes, I love people of that generation.
Oh, you're not that far off.
No, but I mean it's a world apart astrologically
True. True.
because
Okay.
my natal
I'll stop.
Saturn is in Capricorn, but that Jupiter Saturn, I feel like because Saturn on its own in Libra is very much like, yes, I know the rules.
Yes,
Like
yes,
it's
it is.
exalted.
Yes.
But then Jupiter's close conjunction is like, and how are these rules like really inspiring people? How are they uplifting people? How are we going to create a structure that solves social problems,
Do you think
sort of
that's
like
why I
Libra's
always need
vibe.
to know the why behind something? Like anytime I ever had a manager or a boss be like, "Hey, we've got to do this thing," and I'm like, tell me why, and then I can totally
Hmm.
get behind it. Do you think that's why?
I think so because Jupiter needs to understand the bigger picture. Like, how is this actually going to be beneficial, not just
Okay.
pretend beneficial? And then I will say, I
Okay.
think it's a Mercury and Pisces thing because I super
Ah,
relate as a fellow
do you?
Mercury and Pisces.
See,
Yes.
and that's the third way that we are like exactly the same. We've got Aries suns, we have Capricorn risings, we have Mercury and Pisces. We just realized earlier, like an hour ago, because that's how long we've been talking before we started to actually record this thing. We realized that your Mars, which is right on your ascendant, is in square to my midheaven and my IC.
Right. And then we translated that into sort of as we met, we like mutually pushed each other to practice what we were both like at Norwalk saying, "Oh, I have this side project where I'm planning
Yeah.
to test out my camera equipment and interview people." And we were both like, "Oh, yeah, same."
Yeah, we
But I'm
totally
really
pushed.
nervous.
Yes, yes. We both were really nervous. A couple weeks ago on my podcast, I actually talked about this, about how we did this and we planned to do that. And so everybody, this is Madeline. This is my friend Madeline that I've been talking about. Yay. And
Yay.
Madeline,
Hello.
yeah, and Madeline is a really big deal. Madeline is actually giving a talk.
I'm sorry. But I'm actually a really big deal.
I should have led with that. I
No,
should
I
have led
have
with
to.
that.
That just makes me laugh.
I love it. But you are a really big deal because you're giving a talk at the next big conference at UAC in Chicago in September.
That's right. I am. And I do want to qualify again. It's not that big of a deal because they were looking for a lot of new speakers. There's like 1,000 speakers. So.
Okay, there are 1,000 speakers, but I still think it's a really big deal. I didn't even know that. So when I met you and we
There's a
were
lot.
talking at Norwalk, I had no idea. And then I was looking at the UAC after Norwalk because I'm like, oh, I got to plan. What do I want to do? And who do I want to see? And I'm just scrolling through all the speakers and stuff. And there's your name. And I'm like, what? I'm like, Madeline is speaking. I'm like, sweet. And I knew I wanted to record a podcast with you, but I didn't really have a topic in mind other than, I mean, my gosh, we could use any of what we've already talked about for an hour because we
That's
have so
true.
much that we talk about. But I was like, why don't you talk about what you're going to talk about at UAC? So, the Lord of the Ascendant, tell me a little bit about your lens around that.
Yes. Okay. So it's sort of a Hellenistic topic, or I'm kind of put into that track. So in Hellenistic astrology or Neo-Hellenistic astrology, whatever it is that we're practicing here today in the 21st century, the Lord of the Ascendant is it's a big deal planet. And the more that I meet people and look at charts, the more that I always want to know, like, not just what's your rising sign, but specifically where is that planet that rules your rising sign, which is the synonym for Lord of the Ascendant.
Yeah.
So I meet someone like Alisa, I'm like, yes, you're a Capricorn rising, but where is Saturn?
We need
And
to know where Saturn is.
I really need to know where Saturn is because that's going to tell me so much about like who you actually are as a person. Even though the sun and moon can tell you that, I feel like the Lord of the Ascendant, because in traditional astrology, it represents you specifically, like as a character in your chart.
Yeah.
Whereas other planets can tend to represent other people in your life, depending on which house they're
Oh,
in.
yes.
Yes, they're like they can tell aspects about you, how you've developed, but often as a result of these other people that the planets represent. Whereas the
Yes.
Lord of the Ascendant is like, that's you.
That's you.
That
That's you.
that is
So I'm
you.
so I'm Saturn
You are
and you're
Saturn.
Saturn. And what
And
if
I'm Saturn.
which Saturn can be great, but Saturn can kind of be a downer. Serious.
And absolutely, if you meet Capricorn and Aquarius risings, because again,
Mm-hmm.
in Hellenistic astrology, it's Saturn's the domicile lord, the ascendant lord of both of those signs. They know, they know
Mm-hmm.
that they're Saturn.
Yeah, they know. Well, actually, it's funny. And we were just talking a little while ago about that because you were talking about like all these other different levels. Because I've been trained in modern astrology, and you've got such this amazing background in traditional Hellenistic. And it's crazy because half of what you say just makes my brain hurt because I'm trying to like change it from what I know to be true to then what you're saying. And so, anyway, when you were telling me some other elements about sometimes, depending on where things are, without getting into too many weeds, the Lord of your Ascendant may not really be in charge of you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I am Saturn. Like, are you sure? Like, does that apply to
Mhm.
me? And you're like, oh no, you're Saturn. I'm like, okay, good. Because I do feel
Yeah,
like
don't
that's me.
worry.
Well,
Absolutely.
although sometimes I wish I was Venus or somebody else, but
I know,
no, but
right?
I'll take Saturn. I'm good. Saturn's good. That's what I know.
Exactly. That's what this lifetime is about.
Yeah.
And I feel like it can be really helpful, especially for people who are ruled by a malefic, like a Saturn ruled chart or a Mars ruled. It's helpful to know that you are cast as a malefic in this, stage play that is your life. Because it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're a bad guy, but you might actually deal with that experience of like trying not to be a bad guy,
Yeah.
of being aware of how other people might perceive you as a friction kind of force, or like in the case of say a Mars ruled ascendant. Like I actually experience myself as somebody who is creating friction or creating reactions from others. And a
Yeah.
Saturn ruled ascendant might be like, yeah, I experience like I'm more restraining, or I'm more limiting, or I care more about rules and process than the people
Mm,
around me do.
that tracks.
And right.
It
So
does.
you go,
Yeah.
yeah, then you look at the people in your life and you'd be like, oh, well, they are the moon, or they are Venus, they are Jupiter, etc. And so their version of life is it's very
Whatever that
different than
planet is.
yours. Exactly.
That's really interesting because my husband is a Taurus rising. So
Mm-hmm.
Venus. So he is Venus, which is
His
interesting
Venus.
because lots of times when I think about who I am in my chart versus who my father is or my mother is or my sister, right? Like I don't have a sister. I have a sister-in-law. I have two sister-in-laws. But it's funny, like as I'm just talking generally, that's that Saturn. I get literal. Or the Capricorn. The Capricorn is what we were talking about. My Capricorn moon makes me so literal. Anyway,
Absolutely.
I digress. But it's funny because when I always think about like wherever the moon is, that's the mother. or wherever
Mhm.
Venus is, that's a female person in your life, whether it's a sister or, whatever. And then the sun and Saturn are often the father or the husband. But it's funny because based on the way you just described this, that you are the Lord of the Ascendant, that would mean that I am Saturn, which is traditionally more of a masculine. And we just figured out my husband is Venus, which is more of a feminine, but
Mhm.
he's a
Mhm.
pretty manly man, right? Like it's just funny,
Mhm.
like it's just this is again, you're stretching my brain, Madeline. It's like every single I'm like, it's crazy.
It hurts so good.
It does though. Oh, it's crazy. See, it
Oh,
doesn't matter how long you've studied astrology or how much you think you know, there is so much more that is out there. It's crazy.
it's so true. Yeah, and I mean, when you go to a conference like NORWAC or
Yeah.
UAC or so on, and you are sitting in a lecture, eagerly open to something that you aren't familiar with yet.
Yeah.
That happens. That happens to me. I'm still trying to process everything I learned about, the guardian daimons.
Right.
And
Everything.
yes. Yeah,
It's
based on
crazy.
Ryan Butler's lecture at NORWAC this year. I'm just
Yeah.
like, which is
You're
the
like,
thing
oh
I
my
was
God.
hinting at, where there are other, say, masters of the nativity or other planets in
Yes.
traditional astrology that are very important, as like that talk in particular was about essentially which planet is your guardian angel,
Yeah.
your guardian
Oh,
daimon, as they,
I like
yes,
that.
which especially in medieval or
Yeah.
Renaissance astrology he was
Well,
going
they
with.
all
Yeah.
needed guardian angels even worse than we did. I mean, my God, they died at like 20, right? No wonder they were
Yes,
talking about all that.
absolutely. I
Okay,
did a
so
quick
going,
check, by the way, and yours was Mars.
mine is. Oh, my
Hmm.
daimon, my guardian angel
Yes,
is Mars,
yes.
the other malefic, and my final dispositor. Okay, so
Hmm. Hmm.
this is interesting. This is a malefic lifetime for me. Whoa.
Yes.
Okay, so that's interesting. I kind of already knew Saturn
Mhm.
is my chart ruler.
Mhm.
So you're talking Lord of the Ascendant. To me, I've always
Yes.
said chart ruler.
Mhm.
And then Mars is my final dispositor, but now it's also my daimon,
You're yeah, you're guardian daimon
my
according
guardian.
to the Almutin calculation. If
Okay, this
anybody
is too
wants to
much.
Google
These are
that. I
this is
know we're
like a
getting we're
for yeah.
outside the scope.
Yep.
Wait. Sorry.
That's okay.
Mercury and
That's
Pisces
okay.
time.
I know that's what so this is an example of what happens with Mercury and Pisces. You just
Mhm.
okay.
Everything's connected to
So
everything. You could talk about anything while you're talking about one thing.
anything. So let's go back to the whole. I started this tangent when I was talking about the male female thing in the chart about Saturn being male, and that's me in my chart,
Mhm.
and then Venus. So go back to what you were saying about that, about how, like, with Venus, do you still call it Venus as the Lord or is Venus the lady?
I think technically, if you're trying to be semantically correct, you would say the lady,
The
but
lady,
I'm a
but
bit
in
lazy, so I will tend to just say Lord.
is that what Hellenistic astrologers say? Do they say Lord or lady when they talk about
I
Venus?
think they
Probably
tend to
Lord.
say Lord, but some people do. I think it's one
Do
of
they?
those things, we're in the modern era
Yeah.
where, as of 2026, there's more nuance to gender and
Yes.
to the gender-based assignments of the planets, like the type
Yes.
of astrology, where astrology comes from. It's a very patriarchal heritage, so there are only two
Yeah.
um, constant
Feminine.
female planets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Venus and the
Mercury is
moon,
sort of
right?
like a switch hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Venus and the moon.
Yeah.
But the way I frame it is that because there's like masculine and feminine signs as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So like
Fire and air
Aaron.
being the masculine and earth and
Mhm.
water being the feminine. Yep.
Exactly. So I feel like when a planet is in a masculine sign, it's a masculine planet. When a planet is in a
Mm.
feminine sign, it's become
Mm.
a feminine planet, even though its nature is to be one or the other. But there's this
Mm.
additional layer that you can go on where every planet has sort of a mutable gender
Mm.
or is in a place where it, for all intents and purposes, it needs to be like your Venus and Aries
Mm.
it's a more masculine
Yeah, a more
expression of
masculine expression
Venus.
of Venus. Yes, that makes
Yes.
sense.
And even
So,
Venus in Libra is a more masculine expression of
oh,
Venus.
because Libra is an air sign. That's
Exactly.
interesting. So I never thought
Yes.
about that. Venus in Taurus, that is the feminine, that's like the real sensory, sensual Venus. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
the Libra Venus is more about relationships and conversation and harmony and balance, even if like
Hmm.
the aesthetics of a room, right? That is
Exactly.
more, that's less feminine in
Because
theory.
it's more, yeah, it's like just the general principles that air and fire signs are more expressive. They're trying to like outwardly affect
Yeah.
their environment, whereas
Yeah.
the water and earth signs are more receptive. They're responding to the environment. So you get that
Yeah.
kind of, again, like this sort of patriarchal idea that men are the ones who can affect the world around them, and women
Yes.
are the passive receivers of the world around them.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Which is okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So of course, like that, in many cultural contexts today, that does still apply. And
Yeah.
then in
Yeah.
the cultural context in which we live in, it's less fixed, obviously, than it
Yeah.
has been at other times. But
Yeah.
if you're socialized female, there still has been there's
Yep.
the pressure to receive and respond to
In in the
the
way that
world.
is expected. Yeah.
Exactly. And to kind of restrain yourself from, like I was describing earlier in our pre-chat about
In our
we both have
pre-podcast podcast.
exactly our whole other episode that we just recorded. um, how you and I have the sun in Aries, yes, which is a very
Oh, yeah.
masculine, very expressive sun,
Yeah.
but it's in the bounds or the terms of Venus in traditional astrology. And so I was trying to describe, I feel like it is almost like this feminizing layer to an Aries sun because it's in Venus's bounds, where now you're still expressing yourself, you're still very masculine, but you are required to be aware of what Venus
Wants.
prefers, which is that people be in harmony, you know, everybody be like, we need to make sure everybody's having a good time here. We need to make sure this actually looks good and feels good and is not totally impulse driven.
It's really
So that's
funny.
another layer.
So this is just
Hmm.
really funny, and this kind of shows the nuance of astrology in real life through our conversation. You and I both have the Aries sun, which means that we both have our sun in the bounds of Venus. But just then, so if you look at our Venus placements, Venus is in Taurus, which is the very nice, feminine, happy in Taurus Venus, right? And then mine
Hmm.
is in Aries, which is a masculine, Mars driven sign. And when you were just talking about that, you said prefers, and I interjected wants. And I just think it's really funny that
That's too
prefers
good.
prefers is
That's
very much a Venus in Taurus
Mhm.
in charge of our Aries sun versus wants is the Venus in Aries in charge of our sun. And isn't that
That's
funny?
so
Like
funny.
like
That's
you
really funny.
you're speaking, we speak our charts. We can't help it.
Yeah, when there's so much nuance. You go
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
which is, of course, every astrologer finds when they start to look at the whole natal chart. They'll be like, oh, well, not every Aries sun is cut from the same cloth or is
Right.
experiencing all of the stereotypical Aries experiences because there's everything else.
Yeah, there is
The other,
everything else. But that's just
hmm
so funny. Like that
I know, I love that.
that was just such an obvious example like that I heard in the moment. Like I'm like,
Yeah,
I
because
want. And you're like, prefer.
yeah,
I'm like, oh no, prefer, not want.
hmm well, it's true for you because as a Venus and
I
Aries
do want.
native, you do want, yes,
Yeah.
and it's
I
like
want
this
this.
is part of why Venus is considered in detriment in Aries because Venus is like not supposed to be overt with
Right.
her
She's
desires.
right.
Yeah. Like
Right.
in Taurus, she's supposed to just kind of set everything up so that it's all comfortable. And what we desire is that everyone have what they need to have a good time. But it doesn't necessarily need to be about the fact that she went out of her way to set up all these little things or whatever. That's not the
Right. Right. Right.
goal.
Right. Right. Right.
And then even in Libra, Venus is, yeah, in a masculine sign, but is in domicile. So I feel like part of what Libra does with Venus is she makes sure that things are happening the way she wants them to happen, but makes it feel as though everybody came to a consensus about
Right.
this.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas my Aries or my Venus in Aries doesn't
Mm,
care. I'm just like, well,
yeah.
this is how it's going to be.
Yes, and especially with your Aries Sun and your Aries Mars is
Yes.
because you actually know. And again, the opposition across with your Saturn in Libra and your Jupiter in Libra is like you
Yes.
actually know what is right and what should happen. And
Mhm.
Venus doesn't have the patience to try to pretend like you don't know
Oh,
what's right
to
and what's supposed
lead
to
other
happen.
people to get there. Right. My Venus is not gonna, my
Yes.
Venus is like, get it already, guys. I'm just gonna tell you.
Just come on. Just get it already. But then, of course, with Jupiter, I think again with Jupiter with your Saturn in Libra, it's kind of like taking what otherwise might be perceived as like this is too pushy or this is too bossy or what have you, and is potentially, I think, adding a layer of like, and actually it can be received well.
Yeah.
It can go better than what it, how it might go otherwise if Jupiter wasn't there.
What's really funny is I always think about like whenever I'm in big group settings or like if I've had to be like a speaker or on behalf of somebody, I'm usually chosen for that because I'm very diplomatic in the way I
There you go.
speak and come across. And that is probably that if you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's that Saturn and Jupiter in Libra is
Mm-hmm.
it's a little more polished.
It is. And that's, again, if you look at it from the whole signs perspective, I would say because they're in the 10th, ultimately, no matter what you're feeling on the inside, which is probably more of the
It's
Aries
all of that.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we were describing earlier, inside of every Capricorn rising, there is this like Aries combustion engine
Yes.
that is freaking out.
Freaking out like well with an Aries sun, right, with that context
Especially,
or
but even in general, if you think about the fact that in
oh
the Capricorn rising chart, Aries is the foundation.
oh
Like
you're
we are
right,
forged from fire.
fair, and we are
Yeah.
definitely
Yes, we
yes
are. Like we are only this way because it was chaos in our origins,
yes
way.
yes that is true. It's
hmm
interesting, it's so interesting.
hmm And that's what I love about, again, when you start to study from the whole science perspective, you notice those patterns across all the different, and this is something I think I'll talk about in the UAC presentation, like just the common structural components of life that the
Hmm.
different rising signs share with one another.
That is a really good point because
hmm
no matter where you are, okay, that this is actually kind of helping me bring this to life a little bit better because you're right. Like,
hmm
if every single Capricorn rising, whether you're a 0 degree Capricorn like me or you're a
hmm
25-degree Capricorn like you,
hmm
every single one shares that fourth whole sign Aries house
hmm
with the Aries dynamic
hmm
of the foundations, like you said. Whereas then
Exactly.
every Aquarius rising has Taurus down, right? Am I saying that right? Did I
Yes.
do the math
Yeah, I'm
right?
like
Yeah.
checking that. Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
yes. I'm like, this is all too much. I had to make sure I was doing that right.
I know. I was like trying to run an Aquarius chart in my head. I'm like, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. And then they have Scorpio on the as the the
Midheaven,
10th, the public facing
the public
sign.
facing. Yeah, so
And what a
that's
different reputation that is to have Scorpio as the the
very
10th
rather
than Libra as the
than
10th.
Libra. That is a
hmm
very different thing. And so actually that's
hmm
really interesting because I never really thought about that polarity, like a Capricorn rising, and I'm literally
hmm
putting my hand over here, like where I
Yes,
look at the
right.
eastern horizon on the chart, right? I'm like a Capricorn rising here, and then the foundation in
Mhm.
Aries, and that Aries, going by that logic of all
Mhm.
Capricorn risings, have the Aries foundation in the fourth house. That means all of those now are 10th house choosing how much of it is a choice, right? But it's like
Mhm.
you keep all that chaos contained, and what you put out into the world is the pleasant Venus, right? It's
Exactly.
like you're going crazy inside because of everything, but then no, we're going to project the pleasant
Mhm.
Venus.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
now you're
really
inside the
interesting.
mind of the Capricorn rising chart.
Which I mean, I've been in my whole life,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, true.
But I never thought about it like that. That's wild.
Yeah. And then like we
Right?
were just saying for Aquarius rising, even though we consider it to be a fellow, Saturn
Saturn,
ruled
right?
ascendant, the fact that they have Scorpio as the 10th, which is much less, it's like I said, so different
Much
than
less
Libra.
pleasant than Libra.
Exactly. The reputation can be like, fuck you, this is what I'm passionate about
Yes.
because Scorpio.
Yes.
So even this,
Intensity.
yeah, so you think of Aquarius rising when we're thinking about it as like the kind of modern sense of like, oh, it's Uranus. It'd be like, well, it's still Saturn because they're still thinking about the long game. They are still often isolating themselves from others because they're
True.
so into their thing. Yeah.
True. Interesting.
It's a very different Saturn than Capricorn because it's it's an air. It's an air sign. It's a fixed air rather than a cardinal Earth Saturn.
Yeah.
So it's very different than Capricorn, but it is still, it's like Capricorn's looking 30 years in the past, to try to make sense of the world, whereas Aquarius is
Uh
looking 30 years in the future to try to make sense of the world.
that that's interesting. That okay, so Madeline, you are really putting things together for me here. I said you were a big deal for a reason. You just didn't know how big deal.
I
No,
just
so
love astrology.
this is crazy because I have a Capricorn rising and my son has like my SON, my child, my son
Yes.
he has an Aquarius rising. And it's really funny because he usually it's when he's acting like extra rebellious. I'm like, that's that Uranus, in charge of your ascendant. But he is very Saturnian. He also has a Capricorn
Mm-hmm.
stellium. And so
Mm-hmm.
he's got a lot of, but like Saturn is a big deal for him. But it's funny because and granted, he's 13. So I mean, what does he
It's
have to
fair.
do but
Yes.
look forward rather than look behind? But like he is much more of a forward thinker
Mm-hmm.
than the past. I mean, he definitely has more of like he's more nostalgic and appreciative of like he always wants to say goodbye to a teacher that he's going to miss
Mm.
and that sort of thing, whereas my daughter's like bye, like she's got no Saturn. Nope, not I mean, of course she has a Saturn, but it's not like Will's. But it's just
Yeah.
funny because so he does have that little element, but he's really more like future forward. He's a lot like my
Mm-hmm.
husband who's got an Aquarius moon, like the
Mm.
forward
Mm-hmm.
thinker. But I am very much, looking 30 years back. Like you said, it's just really
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun thing about, I guess, or a fun thing. Just but when
Saturn's fun, said the other Capricorn rising on the podcast.
structure is fun,
Structure is
logic is
fun.
fun. No, but the fun thing about the consecutive Saturn domiciles, which no other planet has to deal with, but it's like there's this way of, I
Oh,
think, you know,
okay, and let's just put that into English for a second because
hmm
I translated that in my head for a minute and it took me that long. The consecutive Saturn domiciles means that Saturn rules two signs in a row,
exactly.
Aquarius and Capricorn. So Capricorn comes first and then
hmm
Aquarius. And Saturn is the
hmm
only planet that has that in
hmm
the zodiac. Because Venus rules
Exactly.
two signs and Mercury rules two signs, but they're not
hmm
in a row.
hmm
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. Continue
Yeah.
your thought. I was just like, I had to think about it for a minute, so I know my listeners would need
I think
that
that's,
explanation. See, you
I
are so
appreciate
smart.
that.
You don't even realize when you're being so smart.
Yeah, no, it's good. This is a, yeah, absolutely. We need the additional teaching
Well, and
layers
this will help
there.
you actually when
hmm
you give your talk because presumably
Absolutely.
everybody that comes to your talk will be astrologers, but they might not all know all the terminology yet.
Yeah, I know, and I'm hopeful I mean, that's ideal, is that you get people who are wanting to just
Yeah.
get to that next level.
Watch, I'm going to come to your talk and you're going to say that Saturn, whatever it was you said, the consecutive domiciles, and I'm going to have to make sure I don't catch your eye so you're not like
You're gonna be like spelling out. I know.
And
Teach the
what does that
baby.
mean, Teacher Madeline?
Exactly. Stop using that jargon. Yeah, 2 signs in a row of
2 signs in a
rulership,
row. Okay, so anyway,
which
do you even
the
remember what you were going to say about it? Because
I do
okay, good. Go
still
ahead,
because
continue.
it's
Get back on track.
I think the fun thing about that is that it's like if you think of consecutive signs as like one being a reaction to the one that just came,
Yes. like an adjustment to the previous.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
you change the element, you change the modality, you change whether it's a feminine masculine or diurnal
Right.
nocturnal
There's like
sign.
in theory,
You
there's like
just
nothing the same about them.
Yeah, it's adjacent signs have like nothing in common.
Right.
And so Saturn is reacting to what it just did in Capricorn
Oh,
and
that's
going
really
in the
interesting.
yeah, and
So
being like, so based on the fact that I tried so hard to keep it together for the world and looked at all of the rules and traditions of the past, and it still didn't work out. Now I have become Aquarius and I don't care anymore. And
that's it.
I have a brilliant idea and I am gonna stick with that idea until it,
And no
you
one's going
know,
to change my mind.
exactly.
Wow. And there's that fixity. I've already come from when I was trying to make everybody else happy and
Mm-hmm.
follow the rules and go with the group and what was all the way it was supposed to be, the structure that was already in place. And
Mm-hmm.
it didn't work and I'm over it and I'm making my new thing.
Yeah, and now they're like the brilliant genius who was maybe like
The
teased
innovator.
in high school because they were a nerd, but they were just ahead of their time.
God, they were ahead of their time. Yeah, but
Yes.
that's crazy. So they bring that history of the Saturn correction from Capricorn to Aquarius.
Mm-hmm. Which is
Wow. This is like deep thoughts.
tell me about it. Mercury and Pisces.
I know all the wonderings. Wow.
There's, yeah, everything connects to everything. But I think it's why those of us who get really excited about
Yeah.
traditional astrology I
Yeah.
think it's for these reasons because there's so many layers of logic that start to
Yeah.
fit the puzzle pieces together. So you no longer feel like you're just memorizing a bunch of random information about signs
Yeah.
and houses and planets. You see everything become this logical story,
It becomes this,
I
it's
feel.
like this huge Lego that's like being put together into like a
Yeah.
workable way.
And then you use what you've learned from modern psychological astrology to I think, to insert more like subjectivity and more autonomy than what would be available in, traditional times or ancient times, because
Yeah.
we obviously have so much more freedom of movement and access to medical care and things that
Right.
really affect, that change the game compared to
Right.
traditional interpretations. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because, yeah, I mean, we live so much longer now because of all of the modern
Hmm.
medicines and everything.
Yeah, there are so many fewer ways to die than there used to be.
I guess that seems to be like a loaded statement, though. There's probably also many more ways to die,
That's no, that's
right?
true. Yeah, texting and
Yeah,
driving was not a problem
that was
in
definitely
a
not a
natal
problem
chart.
in the natal chart of like the thousands of years ago. Oh my
You won't
gosh, that.
find that in in Abu Mashar.
Oh my gosh, that's so
But
true.
yeah.
Okay, so what else
Yeah.
are you going to talk about in your talk? Is there anything
Yes.
else? Yeah, what else? Because we
Um,
derailed. We derailed when you were
we
talking
did
about
derail.
every Capricorn that all we've done is derail this whole time. But you were talking I know. Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
pivot, pivot.
Oh my God, from Friends, pivot, right? Mark.
I haven't watched enough Friends to get that reference,
Oh my
but
God. All
I would
right, I'll
take
cut
it.
that out. But that is, oh my God,
No,
Friends.
pivot.
That's like the very best like Friends episode that everybody like whoever watched Friends. I guess you did not really watch enough Friends, like you said,
I
but
was a tiny bit too young.
there was see, that's that generation you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
See? Okay, so
Oh my gosh, yeah, so you're
full
like the
circle.
Libra. That's
The
just kind of
Saturn,
funny because I'm
Jupiter,
like, oh, the
maybe.
Saturn Libra and Pluto Libra generation is the Friends
Right.
generation, which is so funny for
Apparently.
Libra.
That is funny for Libra.
That's
Yeah, that
cute.
is. That is cute. Well, and it's true because I mean, people who know Friends really well, I
Hmm.
mean, they will know what I meant. Like they were moving a couch and down this tiny little New York City stairwell and it was like a whole bunch of them doing it at the same time and Ross, who's like the most annoying character, he was getting all worked up and aggravated about it and he's like pivot, but then it wasn't working and he's like pivot, pivot. pivot. And it was like this whole, like, it was this whole thing, like anybody who's listening to this, if I keep this in here, anybody who's listening to this will
You
know that
should.
reference if they have liked and watched Friends. But
Hmm.
now we
I've
see.
watched enough Friends to imagine Ross saying that and
Yes,
to
right? See?
I can picture the situational humor, but
Yes.
now I'm like, well, I wonder what like they had birthdays, right? What were they
They probably did have, actually, they did have birthdays. And I don't know what Ross is, but I will say that there was one time where I was doing a podcast. I think there was a Virgo moon, and I was like, I imagine Monica Geller having had a Virgo moon. And I don't think
That
she really
seems right.
did, actually. I don't remember if I looked her up or not, but anyway. So I
I love it.
derailed us when you were talking about how every Capricorn rising has the Aries foundation.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that was leading into something you were going to talk about at the talk.
Well, that's part of it because I plan to, part of the talk is it's like a mini workshop.
Yeah,
So, there'll be worksheets, and I think, depending on the number of people there, imagine organizing people into groups, based on rising sign or
that's
based on
true.
shared ascendant lord. Yes. So you can get the
Oh,
little map. Um,
I love it.
like there's this teaching concept I like to use where the rising sign is like it's like your board game map. So what type of board game are you playing? And
Mm,
depending on the rising sign, it's a different map, like we were just discussing with the Capricorn chart. You know, the
mm.
the foundation, like you imagine where the little village back at home where you grew up, it's on
That's the
fire.
Capricorn map, right? That's on
Yes.
fire. That you're trying to save. You're trying to be the warrior and fight for the homeland. Yeah,
Exactly. But then you get, like, say, the Cancer rising chart, and Libra is the
is
fourth. So sometimes for a Cancer rising, that can be, one version of that is like, oh, it was really stuffy. Like, we were supposed to kind of do everything like prim and
oh,
proper.
everything was supposed to be like perfect and keeping up the
Mm-hmm.
appearances.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
then
so
they
their
come out on the
reputation
10th
as
like
the,
ready to roll and like I'm not
yes,
taking this anymore. I'm taking no prisoners. We're going. And that's the
yes.
Aries 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, stuff
Ooh,
like
do another
that.
one. Do another one. So we did,
Okay.
yeah, just throw one,
Well,
pick
we
one.
talked about, your husband's Taurus
Yeah,
rising.
let's do that one.
So then you've got Leo as the fourth.
Okay.
So, like, what does that look like? Is that the parents were, there's some kind of really prominent or really visible aspect to the family with the son
Hmm.
ruling that? Or what was, the father is like, because the son is associated with the father, and then you've got kind of that doubling down. It's like, what is it about the father that was huge for this
So
person?
so it was. So for him, his father, first of all, was a Leo.
Uh,
So that's interesting.
yeah,
It's
straightforward.
sometimes it's that literal, but
Hmm.
also he worked for GE and he was actually consulting with the government and spent a lot of time like overseas doing all kinds of like he was definitely a prominent like authority figure.
And like, was his work kind of shaping, say, like, did they have to move or like
They
where
did. They
they
moved.
lived
Yeah,
was
they
based
moved.
on,
Yes, they had to
yeah,
go all over the world. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
that's
Interesting.
interesting.
But
Indeed.
so then the midheaven is Aquarius.
Yes. And which again,
So
I guess just to explain, the degree of the midheaven can appear, in a different house in
yes.
this structure. So you'll get both the 10th sign has this flavor of the midheaven or the reputation. And then you'll also look at the sign in the house that has the actual degree of the midheaven, which
Okay.
it can be like in my chart, the 10th is Libra, but the midheaven is over in the 11th in Scorpio. And
Yes.
so you end up getting like this fusion where it's
Okay.
both.
It's like a blend. It's both. Okay, so
Yeah.
for me, because I have not looked at Kevin's chart to that. I have no idea because this
Hmm.
whole sign thing is still breaking my head a little bit. But for me, I have a 23-degree midheaven.
Hmm.
No, it's 24 degrees. Sorry, my Pluto. My Pluto in Libra is at 23. And then my
Oh
midheaven
yeah,
is
right on the
24.
midheaven.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so my midheaven. if we do whole signs, then what would that be? My midheaven would shift. Would it be in
So
the
it
ninth?
stays the same. It's like it's still
Oh,
Libra is the 10th and the
oh, so
midheaven
it's
is
the
in
same.
Libra. So
Okay.
it just kind of focuses it into
Okay.
it's Libra.
See, this is why I think I have a hard time seeing the whole sign because I can't apply it to my own
Hmm.
chart to really understand it, you know?
Mm.
Because
Hmm.
it's so much of astrology as I've learned it is like I learn a concept and then I look at it in my own life and how has it showed up and then I get it.
Yeah,
And so then for this
absolutely.
one, because I have a 0 degree Capricorn ascendant, that means that it's pretty much a lot of the same, whole
Hmm.
sign
Hmm.
and equal house and Placidus. And so, and now even this here, I was all excited, like, oh, maybe this is something I can figure out, but it's not. It's all still Libra.
But what we can do is, back earlier, I think this was in the pregame chat where
Yeah.
we were talking about how my ascendant is at 25 Capricorn. So all of the planets that I have in the whole sign first house would be in a quadrant, say at Placidus 12th house.
Yes.
And I was describing how conceptually speaking, in the whole signs framework, we would say all of those planets are still they're in the car. They are, like in my body, in my presentation of self. They are
Yes.
having a say in how my life direction goes, everything related to first house topics. But because the ascendant has already passed them, it's like they've already had their turn at the wheel. They've already had their
Yes.
turn being the driver. And so I happen to have Mars within still close degree range of the ascendant. But I was saying to you, it's like Mars is losing his grip on the wheel
Yes.
because it's already past him.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I'm like saying this out loud and being like, yeah, and that's kind of how it feels. It's like kind of have control over my life, but it is sort of, it's like not
You're
as
like
much as I
barely, not
would.
as much as a
Yeah,
Capricorn rising might like to have. Yeah.
not nearly as much
Not
as a,
nearly as much. Yeah.
especially Saturn and Capricorn would like to have. I think
Yes.
Saturn is very bitter that he's so early in Capricorn and the ascendant is so
Yeah.
far away from him. He's like,
Yes.
why are you not more in control of your life? This is ridiculous.
That actually makes a lot of sense. You're right.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Because Mars is ahead of Saturn in your chart. And yeah,
Hmm.
that's really
Yeah.
funny. That's another interesting nuance with you and me because we have so much
Hmm.
in common. And whereas, like, you basically have a Mars Saturn conjunction, I mean, it's
Hmm.
by sign.
Yeah, by sign.
It's got a lot of degrees because your Saturn is at 2 degrees and your Mars is at 23. So that's like a
Hmm.
21 degree orb.
Hmm.
Orb?
Yeah, so it would have
Is that the
happened
word
like,
even?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
distance. I mean, I use orbs all the time. I don't know why I'm second guessing
But
everything I
20,
know
like
about
21
astrology
degree,
right now. Like, I don't even, is that the right time to use the word orb? Like, I've never lost
a 21
confidence
degree
in,
orb.
I've
That's
never,
insane.
I've never lost confidence in my ability to speak accurately about astrology with the
That's
word
so funny.
orb. But I do, I'm like, I feel like I know
But
nothing now.
well, it's a thing because again, in like Hellenistic astrology, we are looking at, well, the planets are in the same sign, so they're conjunct.
Yes.
And it'll be, yeah, it's a 21 degree orb, but for all intents and purposes, they are conjunct. They're not as conjunct as a close
As if
degree
they're close,
conjunction.
right? Like
Yeah.
my Venus, Sun, Mars,
Yeah,
that's like within
exactly.
3 degrees.
Which
That's,
you'll I was gonna say you'll like this. The way a good way of framing it is like they're in the same sign, so they live in the same house. Like
yes.
they're at least roommates. And then the closer the conjunction is, it's like the closer their bedrooms are in the
Hmm.
house. And then
Hmm.
when they're within like 1 degree or whatever you have, it's like, oh, they actually they share a bed. Like
Yeah. My Sun and my Mars
they
share a
sleep
bed.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Venus is like right out in the hallway.
It's like an entire Friends episode in your chart.
It basically is, I guess. Yeah, it basically is.
Oh my God, I love
Crazy.
it.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, Madeline, we could talk
We
for
could keep
hours and hours and
I
hours.
know,
This
I
has
know.
been so fun, and I can't wait to do this again and again
Uh,
and again, even though we
yeah.
probably have like 5 podcasts worth of material now just from tonight.
W-
But
Yeah, we'll keep you busy
yeah.
in the editing studio. Um, just
Yeah.
real quick, I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to tease that I'm putting out a podcast soon. It's a new
Yay. Oh,
podcast.
yes, that's right. What's it called?
Yeah. It's called Double Bodied.
Double
So
bodied.
So it's
And why?
NY, double-bodied NY. That should be the subtitle, actually.
Actually,
Because
there you
that's
go.
kind of the vibe. My friend Lizzie here in Melbourne and I just recorded our first episode. We probably aren't going to release it for a little while, but the premise is that we are both mutable Mercuries at 17 degrees of our respective signs. So I'm
Oh, wow.
17 Pisces Mercury, she's 17 Gemini Mercury. And so we have a tight square where we can talk about anything and everything, in depth.
Yeah.
And all of the why-ness is kind of what we're trying to serve in our podcast. So our first episode we just record, the premise is just why astrology?
Oh, I like.
Why are we doing this? Why do we care? Why do we love it? Why do we hate it?
Yeah.
So
I don't
it's
hate
sort
it.
of
I love
no,
it.
I hate that it has this negative reputational
Oh,
association.
astrology. Yeah.
Yes. So that's, I think, obviously I love it so much, but I think about what the negative press is.
Yeah. Yeah. You anticipate how people are going to put you down for what you are doing.
Exactly. And I'm always
Yeah,
trying to stay
because
one step ahead of the
yeah, whereas Jupiter is glass half full, Saturn is glass half empty. Yeah.
And it's like, well, you just got to accept that there are so many people who do not know really what astrology is, and
No,
they
and there's a
will
lot of
have a negative
people,
reaction, and that's
yeah, they
fine.
can't help it. It's their loss. said the Aries.
I'm like, oh, I love Venus and Mars and the Sun and Aries. Their loss.
You
Because
know
it's
what? And I don't
true.
even think about it. That's just my default. Well, their loss.
I'm going
That's
to try to
funny.
cultivate that more.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Thank
Cheers
you,
to that.
Alisa. And yeah, whenever Double Bodied gets released,
Yeah.
we'll tune in because
Yeah, for sure.
Lizzie and I will be tangenting and trying to stay on track, much like what we've experienced here.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I can't wait to listen. It's going to be awesome. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you so
really
much for coming on. And I will talk to you soon, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me, Alisa. It's been awesome. And I'm sorry for being so tangential.
Oh my God. It's totally fine. We both were, like, so much so. So until next time.
Until next time.
Till next time. All right. Bye.
Bye.